Your boy Aksdalite. Check me out.
Peace and big up, everybody. Welcome to the Willy Bobo Show. It's your man, Hakeem Allah, aka Aksdalite. Thank you for tuning in. So as promised, we're going to talk about a few subjects today that have been relatively hot within the news. And next week's show, guys, I'm telling you, is going to be even hotter. But yo, first we're going to start off talking about my man Draymond Green and all of his antics on the court and their total effect not only on himself, but the NBA and black players and his team in general. Also, we're going to talk about racism as a distraction. This is one that I had to think long and hard about, when I was really putting it together, because I had to really get some factual information. But the thing is that I had all the factual information within inside myself. So I think my take on this is going to be a little bit enlightening. Also, we're going to talk about how brothers are still affected, by these kinds of things within self. It's that simple Willy Lynchism, crabs in a bucket theory that just seems to exist in a perpetuating way that we just can't get rid of. Also, we're going to get into my stuff, a little bit of Willy Wear. We're going to talk about, previous to that, we're going to also adding on to that whole racism as a distraction thing. We're going to talk about Fred Hampton and also the Rainbow Coalition. That was a very, very huge thing, when it was going on, and we're going to see the effects of it and exactly what the government took from it too. And then again, we're going to talk about my projects going on, such as Willy Wear, and also some of the new music that I just released on just about every platform you can imagine. We'll talk about all of that. And again, guys, welcome to the Willy Bobo Show, and thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back.
Who am I? The MC. Lord of mercy.
Welcome back to the Willy Bobo Show, everybody, and thank you for sticking around. So, over the past 5 years, one individual, Draymond Green, has had 147 career technical fouls. Outside of Rasheed Wallace, you got to understand that's the only individual, who has received more than 20 techs within a year. So, you're talking about throughout his career, Green has assessed 163 techs, 19 flagrant fouls, 17 ejections. That's roughly $1.4 million in fines. That's a lot of money, man. Now, the average NBA career is about 3 years, right? So that means that, my man basically, has given back away your average salary for a bench player over a 3-year period, right? Now, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, man, where basically we kind of played prison ball. It's what it was, right? We were rough. It was kind of like football on the basketball court. You didn't cry about it. You took an elbow to the face, it is what it is. We had rules, no free layups. He comes to the paint, put him on the floor, make him earn at the free throw line. You look at the bad boys, right? The physicality that they brought, the physicality that Boston brought. A lot of teams were just like that. They were dirty, they were physical. It was a part of it. Utah, my God, John Stockton was one of the dirtiest guys you could find. Okay, so now time transcends on. That's not the game anymore, right? So what Day-Day's been doing, is like, it's more recent than ever. And as the years go by, it seems to increase on. You think about the numbers, averaging 20 techs a year, right? 17 ejections, 19 flagrant fouls. There's a major effect that it has on not just himself, of course, but also his team. So when does Draymond think about becoming a team player? Because right now it seems to be all about him and his antics. It's like another Dennis Rodman all over again, right? But at least Dennis could give you 20 rebounds a night. What's Draymond really giving you? A bunch of headache. Because Draymond's not producing the way that he used to. He's older, he's slower, he's heavier, his skills have diminished. I don't know what he does in the off season, but evidently he's not increasing his game. Off the court, Draymond Green's a great guy from what I'm understanding. No one has anything negative to say about Draymond Green off the court. Great husband, great family man, has a wonderful podcast if you check it out. But all in all, it's what's going on inside of his head. When a player starts acting demonstrative like that, that has to let you know that there's something personal. There's something different. Maybe he's tired of the game. Maybe he's just out there earning a paycheck. He knows that yes, he's going to pay a hefty fine for the things that he does, but at the end of the day, he's still getting paid. I've been a Draymond Green fan since he was at Michigan State. And Coach Izzo teaches good, hard, physical basketball, which I appreciate. Not a lot of teams out there have that anymore. But what Draymond was doing and is doing is uncalled for. It's showmanship on a negative level because it gives the NBA a bad eye that it really tried to get away from with the bad boy era, right? Of course, they had to protect Jordan, which was their golden goose. But now, being the global brand that it is, the entire epitome of an entity that it is, you can't do stuff like that. The same way that Patrick Mahomes apologized for his antics on the sideline for something that his own teammate really did. He had to let it be known, look, I can't do stuff like that, man, because I'm a superstar. Kids are watching, and at this stage in our lives, man, we're not, these young, crazy guys anymore. We're fathers now. And we got to think about what we're doing, man. And then on top of that, you also have to think, man, that this is more than likely one of the repercussions that could come from your antics. It's going to get harder for brothers to do anything in the league. Think about it. Because when AI came in and brought in the street mentality, then we had Malice at the Palace. Things changed. Things got a little more strict. Don't cause problems where problems aren't needed.
Who am I? The MC. Lord of mercy.
All right, everybody, thank you, and thank you for coming back to the Willy Bobo Show. Right now, we're going to get into the segment of racism as a distraction. Works pretty damn well, too. The reason why I say that is because you have to learn how to think on two different accords here, right? Like the human brain having two different hemispheres, four different quadrants, right? So you have to think on a different level. And the thing that we can't do as a whole, right, is to think about racism in the intellect of just intellect, right? So what I'm saying is rational thought. Then where we get caught up is we think about racism emotionally. But there's something we don't ever really factor into racism when we look at it. And one of those things is colorism. So with colorism, now, you're talking about a pervasive issue, right? Transcending borders, cultures. But you have to also realize that colorism is deeply rooted in prejudice based on skin color. Then it also, pretty much often manifests itself as discrimination against individuals with darker skin tones. Think about how many individuals on this planet have darker skin tones. And that colorism affects them either negatively or, depending on their economic situation, a bit positively. So this social bias can impact various aspects of life, from employment opportunities to social interactions. I know people right here in San Antonio that live on the west side of town that are afraid to go beyond the quarry because they know that they don't belong there. This is what's been told to me, that they know that they don't belong there. So that's complete colorism, because I'm going to, as we go on, you're going to learn how the racism plays its part. Okay? So once we start to address, colorism requiring fostering awareness or promoting inclusivity and challenging beauty standards that perpetuate such discriminatory practices. Young man right now still here in the state of Texas, as to which Abbott, amazingly enough, signed into bill that you cannot discriminate against a black person because of their hair. But yet this brother still can't graduate high school because his locks are against the rules. So you're telling me that a school system, a school district, is going to supersede written into law, state law. But remember what state we're in. Check it. Now, what we're uncomfortable with doing is engaging in these open conversations and embracing diversity. Very difficult because we've all been taught with blinders on that this is the way it's supposed to be for certain types of people. This is the way it's supposed to be for certain cultures of people. This is the way it's supposed to be for this type of person. Not everyone fits into the same shoebox. We all wear different size shoes. Some of us do wear the same size shoe, but we don't walk the same way. Even if we're the same color, we don't walk the same way. So once we work towards dismantling this deep-rooted level of colorism that perpetuates itself, especially amongst Black people, because we'd be the first ones talking about that house nigga, field nigga theory. And right behind us, the Latinos, because I've come to learn that, you know, if you're dark, certain cultures of being Latin or Spanish or Hispanic, well, you're going to be called a negrito. Damn. So, colorism is the problem, in my opinion. Now we're going to talk about the illusion. The illusion is racism, you see, because that can be used as a distraction from systemic issues and power imbalances, such as what we need to pay attention to in San Antonio, as what I know, is redlining. Look at the map. Once you learn what redlining and greenlining does, you'll understand the perpetuation of social economic issues right here in the 210. There are lines drawn that have been drawn a long time ago that made sure that certain people with certain money and certain colors don't go across certain bridges, don't cross certain rivers, don't live in certain neighborhoods. And it really hasn't changed itself much. I'll say that it has changed itself in a bit because of the fact that, you know, you can go pretty much anywhere here in San Antonio, no matter what the neighborhood, and you can find a person of color living there. But you best believe that right here is one of the biggest places I've seen where zip code to zip code changes a whole lot of shit. Whole lot. We're talking about from not only the way your neighborhood looks, but we're talking about from the roads. We're talking about once you walk into particular HEBs on certain particular sides of town, things are different. You go to the HEB on Las Palmas, it's way different from the HEBs on 1604 or Marketplace. Dividing lines drawn, power imbalances. When discussions about racism become focal points, see, this is when people try to divert that away from their broader social economic problems. Now, what we don't realize is how crucial this is for us to recognize when racism is weaponized as a tool to maintain the status quo. Now, once we understand this culpable dynamic, and it's actually fundamental, you see, we can work toward addressing both the immediate concerns of racism and the underlying systemic issues that perpetuate inequality. Now, this nuanced approach is essential for creating a more inclusive and just society. Well, how do we do that? Well, number one, we got to get our heads up out of our asses. Start thinking for ourselves in a relative way to recognize whom is whom and what is what. Here's an example. Rainbow Coalition, 1960s, high point civil rights era. Mad violent in this country the way it is right now. History repeats itself. Fred Hampton up in Chicago, making it happen. Pulled together everybody that was going through social economic problems. Various marginalized groups addressing struggles together, embracing diversity, We're talking about black people, Latinos, Native Americans, pardon self, indigenous people, pardon self, white people. Didn't matter. If you were marginalized, if you suffered in the ghetto, if you lived wrong and you knew the government was fucking you over, that's what that stood for. Because that's the separation between church and state, if you will. Because the people should not be afraid of its government. The government should be afraid of its people. Am I wrong? But the government controls what you see, what you think, how you feel. Media. We have to understand how the social economic balance has to remain in order for them to remain in power. Because if we come together in a rainbow coalition form, as to which we realize there's nothing really much against anybody else that changes another person to make them so damn different that you have to hate me before you know me. Colorism is the problem. Racism is the illusion.
Who am I? The MC. Lord of mercy.
So myself, man, I've been, stepping back a little bit. As I said before, not only just watching things going on, but I was formulating some stuff myself. So the Willy has been in effect. You can also check that out, of course, at the Willy Wear at myshopify.com. The Willy is, of course, short for the Willy Bobo. And for those who don't know, the Willy Bobo is basically what we're doing right now. We're just kicking it, just shooting the shit, man, talking in general. So the Willy Wear, of course, is just what my message is for the people. General stuff. Nothing real fancy, nothing super flashy, but it does have a message within it. So this is just some of the brand print. I do have a very, very beautiful logo that you can check out. That's all over my stuff. And within that logo is a lot of the people who have inspired me as far as how I need to conduct myself, my mentality, my journey, through learning. My application of, people first, number one, of course, black people first, and then people first. And that's just the way it has to be because everyone has to protect, their own culture first. So when it comes to the Willy Wear, you're going to find there, of course, every item that you can think of in actuality. If it's not on the website, contact me. I'll be able to put you into what you're looking for. If you're looking for some accessories, if you're looking for a nice mock-up, I can make that happen for you, man. And I've had some nice tunes come around. Of course, everybody knows about Styles Upon Styles. Been out for a little bit, officially, on every platform that you can think of to listen to your music, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Tidal, so on and so forth. Also, some music that I had been holding on to for a minute because my boy, my best friend, my little brother, he had died, before we had a chance to put it out. So peace to my man, Lucas Cadell, aka The Flu. The music that me and this kid created, man, was nice, real nice. And it's better than anything I've ever worked with after that. No one that I've met has been able to touch his production, his skill package. Of course, he was a bit rugged with it, but that was his style, that was his thing. So coming behind mine, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows about his because of the fact that he died of a heart condition. So therefore, this is going to be me founding something for him and his wonderful father, Mr. Cadell, so that we can hopefully get, some type of foundation going for people who may suffer from the very same irregular heartbeat that my man suffered from and just died in his sleep at 25 years old before he had a chance to really affect the world. His music was going to impact everybody. And he and I as a tandem, well, we were a real dynamic duo. And believe you me what I'm telling you. So I released I Got Everything, which is a joint I did with him. And also Hold You Tight. Hold You Tight is one of those kind of like, HER from Calm, right? You're going to hear it in one aspect, but it's really talking about something else. I Got Everything is one of those songs, man, that, makes you want to open up and think about, what it is in your life that's important. Having people around you, the love that you need, where you are and how you embrace that community. Good frequency and feeling, man, Also, with my man D Sin, I released Fresh Out of Jail. Fresh Out of Jail is one of those conscious things, right? And what we're talking about, of course, is coming fresh out of that mental jail. A lot of us live imprisoned, within our own minds, we don't know how to reach above this ceiling that we put mentally on ourselves, man. And we don't have the ability to really look back on things and recognize our faults, but then take those faults and transform them into an attribute to be able to not make those mistakes again. Teach that to the youth, educate those around you, try to change the frequency, man. Recognize that, that magnetic field, man, that you put out, man, is either going to attract or it's going to, retract, right? So the music is great. That's all I can say. So, again, check it out on Spotify. Check it out on all of your digital platforms. You can find it under Aksdalite. That's Aksdalite. Everybody, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Willy Bobo Show. I'll have another wonderful episode for you coming up next week. Big up and peace to my man Vince Armstrong for putting me in the right direction on a lot of things. Big up to my man Angelo.
Page. They'll lead you like a blind horse up on diesel for days. The Indiana Jonesin', they shaking and they bonesin', jumping right out they skin. From the pad and the pen, here comes the do or die, and we will do or die. Your shit is pure garbage, our shit is mad fly. We'll fucking eat you up, so you did and you died. Piss on your tombstone, here lies the lesser known. See through you while you choke, your style is compost. Your speech got halitosis, we through the cosmos. I got this planet Earth, I'm smoking good earth. Got my reality, yo, I got 3 words.